All right, so for today's deep dive, I want to start with a feeling. A phenomenon, really, that I think pretty much everyone listening has experienced.
Okay, I'm with you.
You're just wherever at your desk, maybe stuck in traffic, just doom scrolling on your phone.
The usual.
Exactly. And then suddenly a notification pops up. It's that, on this day feature.
Ah, yes, the digital time capsule, the ghost of social media past.
That's it. And let's be honest, most of the time it's just a photo of a sandwich you ate 5 years ago.
Or a blurry cat picture.
But sometimes it hits you like a freight train. You're not just looking at a photo, you were physically transported back.
Yeah, you can almost smell the air, right?
You can feel the humidity, you can hear the background noise of a place you haven't really thought about in years.
It's involuntary time travel, and that's exactly what our source is about today. We are diving into a really specific memoir called A Memory from 9 Years Ago, SUP touring the islands near Phu Quoc.
And just to set the stakes here, this is not a travel guide. We are not going to tell you the top 10 hotels in Vietnam.
Though that is a worthy topic for another day.
It is. No, this is a deep dive into a single moment, kind of frozen in time. We are going back 9 years to the Lunar New Year on this tiny island called Mong Tay.
Right. And the mission for this deep dive is really to look at the intersection of a few things. One is adventure, in this case, stand-up paddleboarding. Two is cultural immersion during a huge holiday. And three is that.
Well, that bittersweet nostalgia of seeing a place before it potentially changes forever.
So the author sees these old photos on Facebook, and it just triggers this flood of sensory detail. Let's start with the journey itself, because how they explored this place was unusual. They weren't on a cruise ship.
No, not even a ferry. And that's the first critical point here. The way you travel completely dictates the experience. The author was on a SUP, a stand-up paddleboard.
For anyone listening who hasn't done this, it's basically a huge, stable surfboard, and you stand on it with a long paddle. And it takes balance and a willingness to, look a little foolish when you fall in.
I can confirm that.
But think about what that does to your perspective. In a kayak, you're sitting low, right on the water. On a speedboat, you're moving way too fast.
What, you're just a spectator?
Exactly. But on a paddleboard, you're standing up. You have a higher vantage point, so you can see down into the water, into the coral.
But you're also completely exposed.
Totally. To the wind, the sun, the waves. It forces a connection with the environment that you just don't get from inside a boat. You're basically walking on water.
And speaking of that environment, let's get into the logistics from the source.
Yeah.
Because they didn't paddle all the way from the mainland. That would be
an ultramarathon. No, the source says they took a local boat to get out to the general area. Arrived around 10 in the morning.
And this was the start of a 3-day tour. Destination, Mong Tay Island.
Mong Tay Island.
Now, when I was reading the description of the water in the memoir, I have to say, as someone who has spent more time falling off a paddleboard than on it, the conditions they describe sound almost unbelievable.
Suspiciously perfect, you mean?
Yes, exactly. They call it a natural bay, where the water was calm, clear, completely protected from waves. They even say when fishing boats passed, the surface stayed smooth. Is that even possible?
It is, and it points to the unique geography of that bay. When you have a natural harbor like that, the land curves around and it breaks the swell. For a paddleboarder, this is the holy grail.
Because you aren't constantly fighting for balance.
Exactly. If the water's choppy, 90% of your brain is just focused on your ankles and your core, trying not to fall. You can't look around. You can't enjoy the view.
You're in survival mode.
You are. But the author uses the words safety and serenity. Because the water was like glass, they could actually observe the world around them.
That's such a great point. When you're not in survival mode, you can be in observation mode.
Precisely. And that calmness meant they could see things a tourist on a loud tour boat would completely miss. The ocean becomes a lens, not an obstacle.
Which brings us to the wildlife. And I don't mean the fish, not yet. I want to talk about the dogs.
The swimming dogs. This was, without a doubt, my favorite part of the source material.
It's just such a specific, odd detail. You expect to see tropical fish, maybe some seagulls. You do not expect to see dogs doing laps in the ocean.
And the author describes them so well. These yellow and black dogs living on the island.
But not just living there, right? They were thriving in the water.
Yeah.
The source calls them excellent swimmers.
And that's an understatement, based on the story they tell.
Okay, so there's this one scene. I can picture it so clearly. A fishing boat is coming back to the island. The owner jumps off into the water to swim the last bit to shore. And at the exact same time from the beach, One of the dogs just leaps into the water.
It's a greeting ritual.
They swim toward each other and meet in the water. Not on the beach, but in the ocean.
You know, that scene tells you so much more than just, hey, these dogs can swim. It speaks to how life adapts in these isolated places.
Right.
These aren't suburban pets who hate getting a bath. These are true island creatures. They've adapted to their environment just as much as the people have.
It almost blurs the line between a land animal and a sea animal.
It really does. And from a memory perspective, this is what you'd call a sticky detail. Years from now, you might forget the exact shade of blue of the sky.
Sure.
But you will never, ever forget a yellow dog diving into the ocean to greet a fisherman. It grounds the entire memory. It makes it unique to that place and that time.
It's iconic. It sounds like something from a Studio Ghibli movie, but no, it's just daily life there.
Exactly.
And of course, we should probably talk about what was under the dogs.
Right, the marine life.
The author mentions snorkeling in the coral areas, lots of colorful fish, a really rich ecosystem.
Which, again, just creates this layered image, doesn't it? You've got the dogs on the surface, the coral and fish below, and then the human observer just floating silently on a board between those two worlds.
It's a very immersed way to experience nature. You're not disturbing it, you're just sliding through it.
But the immersion wasn't just with nature, and this, I think, is where the time capsule idea really gets heavy. They weren't staying in a resort.
No, not even a hostel.
They were embedded with a local family. And we have to talk about the timing here because it's so important. This all happened during the Lunar New Year.
Tet.
Yes, Tet. For anyone who isn't familiar, this is not just a long weekend. This is the most important holiday in Vietnam. It's like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all rolled into one. It's all about family.
So imagine a total stranger showing up at your family's house on Christmas morning. You might be a little put out. It's chaotic. You want your private time.
But the welcome they describe is the complete opposite. The author stayed with a small fishing family on a nearby island, and the household was very traditional. 3 generations under one roof.
The elderly couple, the young couple, and their kids.
And instead of being treated like a customer or an intruder, the author says they felt like one big family.
They mention everyone gathering at night, singing songs, sharing all this food.
That kind of inclusion is so rare, and I think it really speaks to the era this memoir is capturing. 9 years ago, it was before mass tourism maybe commercialized every single interaction.
The hospitality wasn't a transaction.
It was just humanity. It was just sharing the joy of the holiday.
There's this one specific memory the author flags, a photograph of a small child crying.
Yes, described as a cute and emotional moment.
I found that detail so interesting because usually when we post our travel throwbacks, we pick the perfect sunset, right? The smiling selfie. Why highlight a photo of a crying kid?
I think it goes back to authenticity. A curated travel feed can be, well, it can be pretty sterile. It looks like a brochure.
Right.
But a photo of a child having a little meltdown, that's real life. It's a raw, unposed moment. It anchors the memory in the reality of that family's daily life, not just in the tourist's fantasy of it.
It reminds you that these people aren't just background characters in your vacation story.
Exactly. They're living their lives, raising kids, dealing with tantrums, all on this remote island. It validates the experience as something real.
And speaking of their lives, the source gives us this really clear picture of their economy.
Yeah, their livelihood. I mean, first and foremost, they're fishermen.
The author talks about seeing them paddling these small boats.
And notice the parallel there again. The locals are paddling for work, and the tourist is paddling for leisure.
Wow, that's a great observation. I hadn't thought of that. The exact same physical action, but for completely different reasons. One is trying to catch dinner.
And the other is trying to find himself. And the locals are diving for shellfish, managing these small fishing farms with floating cages out in the bay. It's a subsistence lifestyle.
But you can feel the hint of change coming, can't you? The source says that even 9 years ago, they were slowly starting small businesses.
Yes. Serving food to visitors, offering simple boat tours.
And where were those visitors coming from?
From the main island, Phu Quoc. The source says it's only a 40-minute boat ride away.
40 minutes? That is nothing. That's a commute.
It's a very fragile buffer. You can feel the tension in the writing. You have this very traditional life diving for shellfish, 3 generations in one house. But just 40 minutes away, the modern world is knocking.
And the fishermen are smart. They see the opportunity. I can catch this fish, or I can hook it for a tourist and make 3 times as much.
It's the very beginning of that transition. We're seeing the seed of the tourism industry just starting to sprout. It's still innocent at this stage, but we all know what comes next.
And that really leads into the whole atmosphere of the memoir. Because the author isn't just listing facts. There's a heavy emotional layer to this.
The then versus now contrast. It's
Yeah.
palpable. The author describes these perfect sunsets on the west side of the island, the sky turning orange and red. But then they use words like quiet, natural, pure, to describe the feeling of the place back then.
And the implication is? Well, it's pretty clear it's not like that anymore.
Or at least there's a fear that it isn't. There's a sense of loss. When they look at these photos, they're not just seeing a vacation. They're seeing a world that might have vanished.
It's that classic travel paradox, isn't it? You search for the untouched paradise, but just by going there, you're part of the reason it changes.
We love things to death, but I don't get the sense that the author is bitter.
No.
I think grateful is a better word. The source says this trip left a deep impression on them, that it became an important part of their journey with the ocean and island life.
It shaped them.
It was formative. And that brings us all the way back to this idea of slow travel.
Oh, right. We mentioned that at the beginning. Slow travel. It can sound like a buzzword, but in this context, what does it really mean?
It means depth over breadth. This was a 3-day tour. Most people would try to cram 5 islands into 3 days.
Sure.
They stayed in one general area. They moved at the speed of a paddle, not a speedboat engine.
And they stayed with one family. They didn't hop between hotels.
Exactly. And by slowing down, you absorb the rhythm of a place. You're not just looking at the scenery, you start to inhabit it. You have time to notice the swimming dogs. You have time to bond with the family.
You have time to actually watch a full sunset without rushing to your dinner reservation.
That's it. It challenges how we're taught to travel now, where everything is about efficiency. Top 10 spots in 24 hours.
Efficiency is the enemy of memory.
That's a great way to put it. You rush and it all blurs together. But if you sit on a paddleboard in a calm bay for 3 hours, that memory gets etched into your brain. It becomes part of you.
So if we zoom out and look at this time capsule as a whole, why does this specific memoir matter today?
I think we're looking at the power of small details. The author didn't write a grand history of Vietnam. They wrote about a dog, a calm bay, and a shared meal.
And those are the things that stick.
And that's really the takeaway for everyone listening. We all have these digital time capsules on our phones. We all get those on this day notifications.
It's so easy to just swipe them away.
It is, but next time one pops up, don't just look at the main subject of the photo. Look at the background. Look in the corners.
Find the swimming dog in the background of your own life.
Exactly. What's the detail you didn't think was important at the time? Maybe it's a specific pattern on a chair you sat on. Maybe it's the light hitting a building across the street.
Because that's the key that unlocks the whole sensory experience.
That is how memory works. It's associative. You pull on one thread, the yellow dog, and the whole tapestry of that trip comes flooding back. The smell of the ocean, the taste of the seafood, the sound of the singing.
It makes me want to go dig through my own photo archives right now. I feel like I've ignored so many swimming dogs in my own pictures.
It's a worthy exercise. Become an archaeologist of your own past.
I love that. An archaeologist of your own past.
Dig a little deeper than the surface, and maybe, rent a paddleboard.
Or at least find a very calm bay to float in.
Solid advice.
So to recap our journey today, we went 9 years back in time to Mong Tay Island. We talked about why that calm, protected bay was so crucial for the experience.
We met the incredible swimming island dogs and saw that beautiful bond between the fisherman and his companion.
We sat at the dinner table during Tet with the family, feeling that warmth of inclusion and seeing a slice of traditional life right on the cusp of big changes.
And we explored why those quiet, natural memories feel so powerful and so fragile when we look back at them.
It's been a great trip. I feel like I've got salt in my hair just talking about it.
A very refreshing deep dive.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with. We talked about looking back 9 years. I want you to think about today, right now. Look around. What is the swimming dog of your current life? What is the small, seemingly insignificant detail happening around you, the way your coworker laughs, the tree you pass on your walk, that 9 years from now you will look back on and say, that was it. That was what it felt like to be alive right then.
That's a profound question. What are we ignoring now that we will miss later?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.